We meet Luke, a confident but somewhat frustrated college student who's navigating the complexities of relationships and self-image. The story kicks off with Luke trying to get the attention of his girlfriend, Stacy, who seems completely absorbed in her phone. He attempts to break the silence with his usual teasing, calling out, "Excuse me, your rabbit of a boyfriend is terribly lonely," but Stacy barely reacts. She's fixated on her screen, completely ignoring him. Luke, clearly irritated but trying to keep it lighthearted, calls out her name in a sing-song voice, "Stacy Louise." He's not just looking for a response, he's looking for attention. But Stacy, in her own world, doesn't even flinch. She's more interested in what's on her phone than in Luke's playful complaints. With a sigh, Luke's frustration grows, and he can't hold it in anymore. He asks, "Are you even listening?" His voice is sharp, tinged with annoyance. Stacy, completely oblivious, still doesn't respond. It's clear there's something going on, something that's making him feel increasingly distant from her. Luke, thinking, what's happening to us? That night, as they settle into the apartment they share, Luke's mind races with thoughts about Stacy's strange behavior. He's always been the charming, good-looking guy in her life, the type who catches people's attention. But lately, Stacy's been showing more and more interest in an entirely different kind of guy, the kind who isn't stylish or suave but nerdy. It's not just a passing phase, she seems genuinely captivated by this new type of guy. You suddenly into nerds? He's thinking about the past, the days when Stacy was all about stylish, confident men like him. This new shift makes no sense to him. Stacy, still glued to her phone, gives a nonchalant answer, "I guess I saw it on TV." But Luke's mind is already spinning. TV? Is that really the reason she's suddenly into nerds? Luke, thinking, irritated, TV, huh? That's it? Is this what she's into now? What's so special about these guys? And just as his frustration reaches a boiling point, Luke mentions a name, one that's been floating around recently, Andrew. Andrew's been making waves, and Luke's trying to wrap his mind around why someone like Stacy would suddenly find nerdy guys like him appealing. Luke leans in, his voice casual but pointed, "Oh, that guy's popular lately." Andrew? Have you seen Spider-Man? At the mention of the name, Stacy freezes, her eyes widen slightly, and her attention shifts from her phone to Luke. She turns to him, clearly caught off guard. Luke notices her reaction and presses further, a knowing smile creeping across his face. Luke, grinning, "Yeah, that's his name. Andrew Garfield. Did you watch Spider-Man?" For a split second, it seems like Stacy is caught in a moment of doubt, but then she shakes her head, clearly trying to brush it off. Luke picks up on this, sensing the tension in the air. Stacy replies curtly, "I watched Spider-Man. Now stop blabbing about it." But Luke, ever the playful tease, continues, "Want me to wear the costume next time?" His voice is filled with sarcasm, but also a hint of genuine curiosity. Stacy, clearly flustered now, snaps back, "I'm going." "You're distracting me." She slams the door behind her, leaving Luke standing there, still trying to make sense of it all. The next day, Luke's mind is still reeling. In class, he can't focus. As the professor drones on, Luke rests his head on his desk, his thoughts consumed by Stacy's behavior. He starts wondering if he's done something wrong or if she's losing interest in him. He runs his fingers through his hair, sighing heavily. Luke, thinking, what did I even do to make her that angry? What happened to us? His thoughts are interrupted when his pencil rolls off the desk, but before he can reach down to pick it up, a classmate, someone Luke has never really paid much attention to, catches it mid-roll. The guy wears glasses and has that unmistakable nerdy vibe. Luke's mind flashes back to Stacy's fixation on nerdy guys, and he's instantly reminded of his earlier conversation with her. Luke, thinking, wait a minute, those glasses. Why is it that nerdy guys are suddenly getting all the attention? The guy places the pencil back on Luke's desk without saying a word and walks away. Luke watches him leave, his curiosity piqued, but his thoughts are clouded with doubts and insecurities. He can't stop thinking about Stacy and why she's suddenly into this whole nerd thing. Later that evening, Luke returns to their apartment, still deep in thought about Stacy's behavior. Stacy, in her usual playful manner, insists that Luke wear a pair of glasses, just like the nerdy guys she seems so fascinated by. She claims it'll spice up their relationship and make things more fun. Luke's not convinced, but he reluctantly agrees. Stacy, excited by the idea, hands him a pair of thick glasses and tells him to put them on. Luke, clearly uncomfortable, tries them on, but he feels ridiculous. However, Stacy doesn't seem to mind. She's excited and starts snapping pictures of him, gushing about how amazing he looks. She insists that he even comb his bangs down to complete the nerd look. Stacy, giggling, "Oh my God, you look so good. It's like you're a totally different person. Keep these on, okay? Please?" Luke, however, is less than thrilled. "I look lame," he mumbles, but Stacy insists that he looks sexy, calling the nerdy glasses trendy. She's so enthusiastic about it that Luke can't help but feel even more self-conscious. The whole situation seems absurd to him. "Does it have to be these glasses?" he asks, genuinely confused. "I bought a pair of little monsters recently, you know." Stacy dismisses his suggestion. No. These glasses are perfect. Don't you know about nerd style?" Stacy excitedly explains her obsession with the so-called nerd style. She believes that nerds have an aura of purity, untouched by alcohol, drugs, or social media. To her, there's something raw and appealing about the nerdy look, hidden behind layers of clothes and thick glasses. There's a surprising masculinity that no one else seems to notice. Stacy, excitedly, "It's like finding a pearl hidden under all that mud. Only I can see the real beauty beneath all those layers." Luke, still struggling to understand, sighs, "Does that make me a guy anyone can have?" Stacy immediately reassures him, her tone shifting. "No, that's not what I mean." She leans in, eager to convince him, telling him how sexy he looks in the glasses, begging him to keep them on just a little longer. Later, in the university halls, Luke overhears a conversation between a couple of girls about how relationships tend to lose their spark after a few years. One of them expresses frustration about her own relationship, feeling like her boyfriend is becoming predictable and boring. Luke listens intently, the words hitting him like a ton of bricks. He can't help but wonder if that's exactly what's happening with him and Stacy. As he listens, his own fears start to take shape. "Does that mean she's getting sick of me?" he thinks, his mind spiraling. He wonders if Stacy is just tired of him, if she's looking for something else, something he can't give her. Luke let out a frustrated groan as he sat at the back of the room. "How did I end up sneaking glances at that guy?" he thought, irritated with himself. In front of him, Andrew sat, calmly eating his lunch. Luke couldn't help but notice him again. The guy who had picked up his pencil yesterday. With his messy hair, thick glasses, checkered shirt, and layered look, Andrew fit the description of the nerd Stacy had mentioned so many times. But there was something about him that bothered Luke. His face was undeniably handsome, and he had the perfect height. The glasses, though not Luke's style, were expensive, high-end designer glasses, something that Luke couldn't ignore. Why did Stacy settle for those knockoff glasses when she could have had the real thing? He wondered, growing even more frustrated. Luke sat behind Andrew, watching him, convinced that Andrew had something to do with Stacy. That nerd did something to her, Luke thought, still stewing in his anger. He glanced at Andrew again while holding a newspaper, as if his suspicions were written all over the page. It's so obvious, Luke thought, watching Andrew with a scowl. But his thoughts were interrupted by someone nudging him. Hey, Luke, a voice said, pulling him out of his thoughts. What the hell? Luke muttered in surprise. The person laughed. What's up? Did he borrow money from you? No, it's... Luke trailed off, not wanting to sound ridiculous. I can't tell him I think Stacy might be cheating on me because of those glasses. His thoughts spiraled. Luke sighed, feeling frustrated. I need to do this on my own. I'm sure they're together, but I need to confirm it. What's up with you? The voice asked again. Never mind. I'll tell you later, Luke muttered, too caught up in his own thoughts. 3:30 p.m., Hobson University. Luke was tailing Andrew through the campus, watching him as he headed to the Natural Sciences department. Luke had no idea what Andrew was studying, but he didn't care. He was more interested in what Andrew was really up to. As Andrew entered the building, Luke peeked through the door. There he is, Luke thought, still keeping his distance. Luke had done some research on Andrew. Andrew Young. 23 years old. Senior in biotechnology. About 6 feet 6 inches. A genius who had never fallen out of the top spot at Hobson University. He had come from a prestigious high school and was already receiving job offers from top companies. He's not interested in alcohol, parties, or girls, Luke thought. Rumor has it that he's different. Maybe even gay. Luke couldn't help but feel irritated by the thought. Forget calling him a nerd, this guy's a star, Luke thought bitterly. 6 p.m., Hobson Square. Now he's heading home. Let's see if I catch him in some kind of secret life, Luke thought, still convinced there was more to Andrew than met the eye. As he followed Andrew, he noticed the guy wasn't talking much to anyone. What's his deal? Luke thought. He had a friend with him, but their conversations barely lasted more than 30 seconds. The woman walking next to Andrew caught Luke's attention. Is she his girlfriend? But no, she didn't look like one. She's definitely not his girlfriend, Luke thought, feeling slightly relieved, but still suspicious. 6:30 p.m., Main Library. Luke sat back in his chair, mentally exhausted from following Andrew around. What is he doing, Luke thought, still trying to make sense of Andrew's every move. Is he pretending to study to get attention? As the hours passed, Luke began to feel more and more drained. By 8 p.m., his head was nodding off. Does this guy even take a break? Lecture, lunch, study, study, study. It's all the same. Luke thought, unable to comprehend how someone could live like this. 11 p.m. Luke could barely stay awake as he continued following Andrew's routine. How is he doing this? Luke thought. He hasn't taken a single break today. At 11:30 p.m., Andrew left the library, and Luke followed him again, certain that something was off. Andrew took off his shirt as he walked out into the open air. What's going on now? Luke thought, staring in disbelief. He's working out? Andrew's body was lean and strong, something Luke couldn't help but admire, even if he was frustrated. Nice body, Luke thought, feeling a twinge of envy. How does he do it? I could work out for hours and still not look like that. Andrew then removed his glasses, and Luke felt a sudden shock. Am I crazy? He thought. What's going on? Despite everything, Luke started to reconsider his suspicions. Doesn't look like this guy has time for a relationship, he thought. I must have jumped to conclusions. As Luke stood there, unsure of what to think, he heard a voice calling his name. Luke? Stacy's voice echoed behind him. Luke froze. Stacy. Can I talk to you for a minute? Stacy asked. Luke's eyes widened in surprise. What's going on?